Alright guys, how's it going? My name is Nyxre and welcome back to another episode of The Good, The Bad, and The Teemo, where today I'll be covering Magic Pen Dr. Mundo. Here's the reference guide for today's video. I'd just like to note that there are two ways I went about testing this build out, the first of which is pretty much a traditional Dr. Mundo build with just one or two Magic Pen items, with the other being a full AP build with a ton of Magic Pen thrown in. The one you'll want to use will depend entirely on how the game is playing out. For anyone interested, an Imgur link for this guide can be found down in the description. So let's start off with the good things about playing Magic Pen Dr. Mundo. The first and best reason for building Mundo this way is the crazy amount of damage you'll be able to do on the enemy tanks. Late game, your cleavers will be capable of doing more than 1000 damage to a full tank in a single hit. It's important to note that even if the enemy tank has over 200 magic resist, your cleavers will still do a minimum of 10% maximum health damage. This will force the enemy tank to build every magic resist item in order to deal with the damage you will provide. Another good thing about Dr. Mundo is the crowd control provided by his cleavers. Landing the slow on a squishy target can allow for your team to collapse and ensure an easy kill, and landing it on the enemy tank will make lining up following skill shots much easier. The last good thing about Magic Pen Dr. Mundo is that you are still able to be incredibly tanky even while having good damage. This of course only applies to the build which only buys one or two Magic Pen items, but it still remains true to a certain extent when going full Magic Pen and AP. Your ultimate can allow for you to take plenty of damage and still come out of a team fight unscathed, and your Burning Agony will dish out good amounts of AoE damage just by being around the enemy. Moving on to the bad things about building Dr. Mundo with magic penetration is that he loses the ability to become a super tank that he would have otherwise been. Even when only substituting one or two items, you're losing out on a potential 100 armor or magic resist, which would easily prove useful if the match makes it into the super late game. Coupled with this is a lack of efficiency that items like Warmogs will have compared to a more standard build. Both your passive and Warmogs are enhanced by having the maximum amount of health possible, and replacing a defensive item or two will greatly decrease their efficiency. Continuing forward with the loss of tankiness is the increased ability for you to be burst down when building this specific way. This is even more true if you're building full AP and Magic Pen, as your maximum health will be very low and the enemy carries will have no problem killing you with just a single rotation of their abilities. Because of this, you'll usually want to ensure that your team has an additional tank so that you aren't forced to be their only frontline. Because this build emphasizes the percent maximum health damage which Dr. Mundo provides, it means you'll be of very little threat to the enemy carries. Attacking enemy tanks will be your priority, as it will do proportionally more damage than attacking their other members. Unfortunately, this means that unless you are very far ahead, you are unlikely to win any 1v1 duels with enemy carries, which will force you to be a bit more team reliant. Now moving on to the Teemo. This is the section which deals with the biggest issues of playing Dr. Mundo the specific way, and covers the primary reasons why you probably wouldn't prefer this build to something else. First and foremost is that you are absolutely useless if the enemy team has a heal heavy support such as Soraka or Sona. While these supports prove annoying against most tanks, it holds even more true in this case as you are unable to provide any burst. Landing a single cleaver may deal a ton of damage, but if the enemy support can heal their team back up quick enough, it won't prove useful in the slightest. This is primarily enhanced from Mundo's lack of hard crowd control. Unlike other popular top laners such as Poppy, Maokai, or Echo, Mundo has no ability which is capable of rooting an enemy. This makes him a fairly weak pick when not going full tank, as he loses out on his only advantage of becoming the ultimate raid boss. His damage requires extended trades and does not allow for the best follow-up from the rest of his team. And finally, one of the worst things about building Dr. Mundo with magic penetration is that it is absolutely terrible in the early game. You'll eventually reach a point where you'll stall your tankiness in favor of a magic pen item, which can allow for the enemy laner to catch up if behind and pull ahead if even. This essentially means that you shouldn't try this build out unless you are ahead of the enemy laner by a significant margin. In seemingly every other situation, building Dr. Mundo as a super tank he was intended to be is almost always the better choice. However, that is it for today's video. I found this build to be pretty interesting compared to some of the others which I have tried. One of the biggest things being that overall it just seemed to be a worse pick than the standard build. Honestly, I can't say I'd really recommend this build in most situations, but if you do find yourself far enough ahead, you can go ahead and have yourself a bit of fun chunking the enemy tank for a quarter of their health every few seconds. Feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe if you're new around here and would like to see more. If you didn't like the video, feel free to leave a dislike. All I ask is that you leave a comment with what you believe I could have done better, so that my future content can continue to improve. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.